Multimedia, with a steadfast focus on lifestyle, leisure, and business, we set out to bring high-value oriented programs that captivate the taste and desires of our audience. From the captivating airwaves of Z101.9 FM to the dynamic visuals of ZTV and the innovative realms of Z Digital and the incubation of advanced technological knowledge at Z Tech, every facet of modern media is meticulously curated to engage and inspire. Also, let's not forget the New Finder newspaper, now under the Z Multimedia umbrella, delivering insightful journalism with a business focus. Join us on the journey where innovation meets inspiration, where lifestyle meets leisure, and where business thrives. Change is here. Z Multimedia, your lifestyle, leisure, and business platform.
You're tuned in to Z 101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Asampayetia Obanyansa fuso wo bunubia wankana asam Tema futu sam kakre wa supeme Yo kofi oman ya woman Omani ya memana Yenyi baby ako Wata zaza ya warenyi Wonsom wanyinyi pa Nasazi pa wofyo ye Demo yembera ye Ebe ya ifilena Omani ya umano Omani ya memana
If you're just tuning in, you're welcome to the Focus on Z 101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio. Today on the Focus, we're going to be having a conversation on Ghana 2026, governance, quality, and economic progress. And I guess it's also appropriate to say a very happy new year to all our cherished listeners and viewers. We're hoping that this year we have a better Ghana. And also, I have my guest who is seated in the studio, who is sharply dressed to have a good conversation today with us on our economic progress and the governance quality we have had. My name is Kweku Atakra Juma, and I'm your host for today. And we'll take a very short breather here. When we come back, we'll take news from around the world. Then we'll just dive straight into the conversation for today. Do not go away.
Tuned in to Z 101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Many thanks for staying with us on the Focus on Z 101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio. For today, for news around the world, the Venezuelan opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, was met privately with U.S. President Donald Trump at the White House Thursday in a closed-door session focused on Venezuela's political future. Machado, who won the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize for her work promoting democracy, presented Trump with her medal as a symbolic gesture of gratitude for support of Venezuelan freedom. Trump publicly thanked her for the honor, though the Nobel Committee reiterated that the prize cannot be officially transferred. Despite the cordial meeting, Trump has not endorsed Machado as a future Venezuelan leader, instead maintaining support for acting President Delcy Rodriguez and emphasizing U.S. interest in stabilizing the country and its oil sector. After the meeting, Machado told cheering supporters outside the White House that Venezuelans can count on President Trump, even as questions remain about U.S. plans for elections and democratic transitions in Venezuela. Now, also in China and Canada, Canada and China announced a significant tariff relief agreement after a high-stakes meeting between Canadian President Minister Mark Carney and Chinese President Xi Jinping, marking a major reset in their trade relationship following years of tension. Now, under the preliminary trade deal, China will slash tariffs on key Canadian agricultural exports, including canola seed, expected to fall from around 84% to about 15% by March 1, and lift anti-discrimination levies on products like canola meal, lobsters, crabs, and peas until at least year-end, potentially unlocking nearly $3 billion in export orders for farmers and fishers. In return, Canada agreed to lower its tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, allowing up to 49,000 EVs annually at a 6.1% tariff, a move expected to make EVs more affordable to Canadian consumers and broaden market options. The leaders described the outcome as part of a new strategic partnership focused not just on agriculture and autos, but also on energy, clean technology, and broader economic cooperation. Carney framed the deal as a step toward diversifying Canada's trade beyond reliance on the United States. Relations had been strained in recent years with mutual tariffs following previous disputes. The new agreement signals a caution thaw and willingness to rebuild economic ties. Now in Japan also, Japan and the Philippines have signed a new defense agreement aimed at deepening military cooperation amid growing tensions with China in the East and South China Seas. The Acquisition and Cross-Servicing Agreement, ACSA, signed in Manila by Japanese Foreign Minister Toshimitsu Motegi and Philippine Foreign Secretary Teresa Lazaro, allows their armed forces to provide ammunition, fuel, food, and other supplies tax-free during joint exercises. The pact must be ratified by Japan's legislature before it takes effect. Officials said the deal will boost deterrence against what both nations view as China's increasingly assertive actions near disputed waters and improve readiness for natural disasters and peacekeeping operations. Japan has also pledged additional security and development assistance to the Philippines, including funding for infrastructure and internet expansion in vulnerable regions. The agreement builds on earlier cooperation, including a reciprocal access agreement that permits mutual troops deployment for larger joint drills, reflecting strengthening defense ties between two U.S. allies in the Indo-Pacific. And still with the U.S., the United States has sharply accused South Africa's military of cozying up to Iran after Iranian warships took part in multinational naval exercises off South African waters in what Washington calls a troubling shift in Pretoria's foreign policy. In a strongly worded statement, the U.S. Embassy in Pretoria said reports that South Africa's defense forces and defense minister Angie Motshekga allowed Iran's vessels to remain in the drills, despite orders to the contrary, raised serious concerns about regional security and non-alignment. The embassy labeled Iran a destabilizing actor and state sponsor of terror, saying its inclusion and undermined maritime security was particularly unconscionable given Tehran's ongoing crackdown on protesters at home. South Africa can't lecture the world on justice while cozying up to Iran, the U.S. mission said, adding that allowing Iranian warships to operate in South African waters was not true neutrality by choice to stand with a repressive regime. South Africa has launched an inquiry into how the Iranian participation unfolded after reports that presidential directives were ignored by military officials. The naval drills involving BRICS and allied nations near Simon's Town included China, Russia, and the UAE alongside Iran. The dispute highlights growing diplomatic strain between Pretoria and Washington over defense and geopolitical alignments. And in Uganda also, President Yoweri Museveni has won Uganda's presidential election with over 75% of the vote, according to provisional tallies released by the country's Electoral Commission. The long-serving leader is poised to secure a 7th consecutive term, extending his rule that began in 1986. Museveni's main challenger, opposition leader Bobi Wine, trailed with roughly 20%, with the remaining votes split amongst other candidates. Preliminary results are based on counts from a significant portion of polling stations. The elections, held amid an internet blackout and heightened tensions, saw reports of post-vote violence and clashes, with at least 7 people being killed in central Uganda. Opposition supporters in Wine's party alleged irregularities, while authorities blamed unrest on protesters. Final official results are expected to be confirmed in the coming days. And here in Ghana also, the Ghanaian government says it will support Metro Mass Transits, Ayalolo, and private transport operators with new high occupancy buses to help ease worsening urban transport challenges affecting commuters, Vice President Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman announced yesterday. Professor Opoku-Agyeman said President John Mahama has directed that the government procure additional buses to bolster both state-owned and private sector fleets, aiming to reduce long queues, congestion, and delays in major cities. She made the pledge during a high-level meeting with driver unions and transport ministers, emphasizing the move as part of broader efforts to improve mobility and strengthen public-private cooperation in the transport sector. Transport officials also acknowledged that years of underinvestment have left current bus services overstretched, and said government action is now essential to expand capacity and improve service reliability. Many thanks for staying with us for the news around the world. We'll take a very short breather here. When we come back, as I mentioned, my guest is seated in studio. We're going to delve right into having a conversation about Ghana 2026, governance quality, and the economic progress we have made so far. Do not go away, stay tuned.
French fosse. Ça c'est bon. You was away. Soup. Yazima yaway, our friend can be biara, sick and so can be biara, Sivam Pani, yo. What the fuya, our hotel mapa, our super papa, some of your chicken on more brabono. For Sunday on, on your baby, man of peso, Merabado, wow, wow, man of peso.
To Z 101.9 FM. Your lifestyle,
Hello, this
leisure,
is
and
Zed
business
Decola.
radio.
For the month of December and January, we have something that we call Furnish Your Craft. We're inviting everybody in the interior furnishing space. Now, there are a lot of things or a lot of people that are in the furnishing space. They are giving us various things that help us put our spaces together. We're talking about people who are weaving rugs, there are people who are painting, people who produce artwork, there are people who are using clay pots to produce plates, dinnerware, all sorts. We need to bring all of these people together because after all, we are creative as Ghanaians. Yes, even you that sews curtains, come to us. We're going to give you access for a small fee, access to all our platforms of TikTok, of YouTube, of Facebook, of Instagram, and yes, our newspaper. There's a newspaper, the New Finder newspaper. You're going to have access to all those platforms for a small fee. What we want you to do is to come, bring us your PR packages, bring us your artwork. The good thing about this promo is not like there are other places. Over here, we understand what it is that you are producing. We'll be able to talk about your product for you. If you want to come in studio, no problem. But we are able to do that on your behalf as your chief marketing officers. You just bring your products, bring your PR packages, and come to us at Z101.9 FM, and you will not regret.
For more information, contact 054 3763460 or 030804101.
Many thanks for staying with us, and if you're just tuning in, you're welcome to the Focus on Z101.9 FM, the Lifestyle, Leisure and Business Radio. We're live on our Facebook platform. You can connect with us on ZFMGH on Facebook and on X. Or you can listen to us from around the world on www.zmultimedia.com, www.zmultimedia.com. You can also get interactive with us by sending your comments or your contributions to our WhatsApp line 0544-321019, 0544-321019. And we're happy to take your comments and any questions you may have for our guest today. So as mentioned, I have with me in studio our good Professor Emeritus Stephen Adey, who is a governance and leadership expert who's going to help us have a good conversation today on Ghana 2026 governance quality and economic progress. Prof, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And I guess it's also a good time to say Happy New Year to you.
Belatedly, because I didn't see any hamper. That's
No problem at all, Prof. We'll take care of that. Yeah, so we're going to have a conversation today on our governance quality. And since the commencement of this year, there's been a lot of conversation about our economics, our economy. Some people say nothing has changed. Some people say things are getting better. Some people say the fuel prices are dropping. There's been a whole lot of conversation. Let me just take your preliminary thoughts on the economy before we even go into the deeper aspects.
Well, let me say that any observer will have seen tremendous progress since the current government took over authority and running of the country. And there's no doubt at all that the overall verdict is that Mahama and the NDC have done relatively very well in 2025. We are not out of the woods yet, but there's no doubt at all that progress was made last year, and we have a platform, hopefully, to do better this year.
Right. So, Prof, when you say that there's been some improvement this year, where were we previously, and what has caused us for us to say that there's an improvement?
There's no doubt that the second term of President Akufo-Addo is not something to write home about. Almost every indicator in terms of economic development or growth was almost a disaster. I mean, we hit inflation as high as 54%. Interest rates meant that actually what we call the real sector, manufacturing, farming, and other things, came to a standstill. You saw fuel prices hitting the roof, interest rates, as I mentioned earlier, the tumbling of our cedi to as much as 15.4 or so to $1. I mean, so economic growth, yes, wasn't too bad in the last year, but suffered a decline along the way. So, and I think that the average Ghanaian felt an adverse impact. Actually, I thought that given what we went through, the debt restructuring, and then even pensioners suffering because their monies were locked up, there was a need rather for an apology rather than to campaign for another term as if everything was rosy. So where we came from, despite the earlier efforts made by the government in this first term and seeing us through the COVID crisis successfully, ended almost like a disaster.
But in fact, I was coming to say that, and you're right to mention COVID. Can't we, I mean, shouldn't we look at it in a broader perspective, that era also had challenges. They had the COVID coming, which admittedly was a huge strain on businesses even across the world. Also, I mean, we're told of the international problems they faced. Internationally, the economies were not at peace.
That good. Well, actually, the COVID was handled by Ghana excellently, and I think that everybody praised President Akufo-Addo and his team. What happened thereafter, I don't think is justified by the COVID crisis. Ghana was not the only country that went through the COVID crisis. I think that the earlier it came to roost, the earlier decisions about how they handled the financial crisis in terms of closing those they consider to be non-performing financial institutions lay a very bad foundation. And I think that they could have gone by the debt restructuring in a better way rather than the way they went through. And generally, I think that there was a perceived widespread corruption going on, and somehow the confidence that the Ghanaians had put in President Akufo-Addo, giving him massive nod in his first term, and even at the second term, giving him the benefit of the doubt, I think they disappointed Ghanaians.
But Prof, I mean, you have been around for a while. Isn't it the same for almost every government? Usually a second term, there's always these challenges. The economic indicators are not favorable to the ordinary Ghanaian. Isn't it just a trend? Will you say it's unique to just the previous government?
First of all, I think that it was quite unique. We have never gone through that crisis. Maybe that's why also we kick Mahama out after a while, so that he will have a second term and go and learn and come out better. But on a more serious note, I think that what happened under the second term of His Excellency President Akufo-Addo was unprecedented. I think that in terms of death, it's one in almost a century. I mean, Ghana is 68, and we have not gone through such a phenomena. Even in 1983, which was a very, very bad year, I think the explanation was more of the drought and everything else, rather than economic and governance underperformance.
But generally, do you think that our economic challenges, there's no bearing of the international economic space? There's no bearing of it on our economics?
No, it's always. I mean, that's why Ghanaians are almost fixated on forex exchange rate. And that shows that there is always. I mean, we are commodity dependent, and we will come to the performance of Mahama soon. I mean, the gold price and the cocoa price, for example, have been tremendous help to the current administration. So yes, there is, but I don't think that you could put imported inflation to what happened, or the external sector to what happened in the last years of Akufo-Addo. They were contributory, and they have always been. If you are dependent upon primary commodities and you import almost everything else, what happens at the international scene? But it will not be the major cause. It's an internal mismanagement. And policy, I also say that misalignment or mistakes they made that brought us that far.
Right. Okay, Prof, then let's look at 2025. The economy of Ghana, how do you assess it?
Well, probably let me put my professorial hat. I'll give Mahama and his team B+. And I will explain why.
The professor never gives an A.
Oh, no, we do. That's why we get first class people. But what I'm saying that they have done well. I mean, if we get a second class upper, you're a good student, but you must be exceptional to get an A+. First of all, I think that they took responsibility as a new government of what has happened, which is very, very important, not just blaming the past government. Yes, the domestic debt exchange program, the external ones, the previous government had made some efforts. They have taken full control. And I think that that is something we must accord them credit for. And so far, things are going on. And I'm hoping that when the repayments, they have already started repaying the external ones on schedule, and that they will do so for the domestic ones from 2026 to 2028. Second, we have seen that inflation, tremendous. Ending last year with inflation of 5.4. Give and take, even if it is massage, it is a tremendously great achievement for that. Interest rates have gone extremely well, and I'm expecting that the banks would respond positively, because when borrowing comes to between 10 to 15%, the real sectors like trade, industry, manufacturing, and other things will pick up. The exchange rate has seen a major appreciation, and as things are going, hopefully there will be stability. There can be, if you are commodity dependent, there can be easy slippages. But so far, I think that the exchange rate front, they have done very well. Economic growth has upped, and there's still room. I think that in a country like Ghana, for us to get out of the woods, we must increase our our growth rate to about 7 to 10%. But they are making progress, and I hope they will continue to do so. I think that there are big pushes in the right direction about the infrastructure. they have to do a little bit more about energy. And of course, the big push has just started. You cannot say how far they have gone. The only thing is that I have a micro interest. The Dodowa Afienya Road, where my school is on, it's being done. But I hope somebody will wake up to the Kwabenya, what they call Kitasi Road, where I live. But I think that just only 3 days they announced an economic advisory board. I think Economic Advisory Council, they called it. I like the composition. And I hope that will set a trend, because the tendency of one government just neglecting more or less 50% of the Ghanaians that they belong to this side, hopefully maybe coming to an end. I think that the economic their main overseers of the economy, I'm talking about the governor, the minister for finance, the head of revenue collection, NDPC, hopefully are working in concert. I don't see cross purposes. And I think that is very, very important for a country like Ghana. But at the end of the day, we say, the real sector where employment will be generated, they must look at it, because all these things are inputs. But at the end of the day, there is a need to look at how to be agriculture to be independent of. Ghana should not import any agricultural product, practically. I mean, we see some improvement in the poultry sector, but grains, rice, I mean, Ghanaians may have a taste, but our taste can be changed if we have domestic quality alternatives. So we must be there. So on the whole, I think the government has done well, but there are also areas of concern.
Before we move to the areas of concern, can we attribute all of these as the sole effort of the government? Because there's also a concern about some of these things. The foundations were laid by previous government, like the Gold for Oil, which was started. Which
President Mahama has, I think one of them has acknowledged the contribution of the thoughts of Bawumia in that direction. No, that's what I said, that, you know, apart from Ghana, whereby a new government behaves as if they have a coup, and this government, when we come to the negative side, in some way started behaving like that, you assume what you inherit, both positive and negative. There's no doubt at all that, irrespective of where we came from, the previous government had tried to put in place this negotiation with external debtors, push through a very hard, bitter domestic exchange rate, and also, let's say that if you inherit a relatively bad situation, you tend to shine easily. So therefore, part of it has to do with the debt from which they have come from. So no, the Ghana was not created by Mahama's second term. So there's a continuity, but there's been a sharp change in the direction of economic management for the better.
Right, but how do you also respond to those who say that these figures are they're fictitious? They are just being made in a short time to make the Ghanaian happy. It's supported with the IMF report, which showed some losses from Gold Board. Hitherto, we are told that we're very profitable until we saw these reports.
Let us be very careful. I think that every decision has a downturn, and 214 million is something of concern to us, but we are talking about a multi-billion economy. So yes, I think that it must be investigated, and if people are culpable, dealt with, but I don't think that detracts from the overall performance of the government. But in fact, for me, there are much more serious areas that we should be concerned about, but which people are not looking at, but in the long run can be very serious for our future, and both economic management and governance. But yes, there cannot be, let me say that, for example, and this one I'll mention it because it seems that they are improving on it. The Rambo style of, the Attorney General, OSP, and people like Monday, GBND, how do you pronounce it? That Deputy Security Coordinator.
Yeah.
They behave as if they were behaving as if, there has been a coup, and they are, it's totally un-Ghanaian in their attitude, and they are mellowing down, so hopefully they are.
But again, doesn't it, as I said, as the critics say, that it looks like it's just to appease the Ghanaians. So with the Rambo style, they hear this person has been corrupt, they go and pick it up.
Yes.
And then just things playing to the gallery.
That's what I'm saying, that but I don't like that. That's why I'm bringing it as my first of my few downside. But every government plays to the gallery.
Yeah.
Provided you are the underlying factors are not being destroyed. And I'm hoping that I have already seen some mellowing down. But this idea, for example, you get somebody, you are public trial, oh, he's corrupt. And then somehow you get, unfortunately, some judges to say 2 billion cedis bail, knowing that nobody will have the money to pay 2 billion, put you in prison, jail for about 1 week, you appeal, and it is reduced to 20 million or 50 million. This is totally unacceptable. And they are setting precedents. You see, Aba Edibo Techino and Edibo Crew. I don't think that we should live in a country where, and now the politicians were doing that before, NPP was doing that before NDC, except that they have made it now the norm. For example, my own godson, what's his name? Nyinaku, there was a case under the previous regime, civil case. When they were about to lose, they arrest him on the same charges as criminal. Ask him to a bail of 2 billion. Of course, he wouldn't have 2 billion. Languish in a cell for 31 days, and it's reduced to 30, and then he's allowed home. Eventually, he was.
But those particular ones, I know they are usually based on the circumstance, because I've done a number of cases that sometimes, depending on the money involved, the judge would fix the bail price to be commensurate.
No, consistently, no. Let us be very careful. Consistently, all these ones, whether the previous government, 1 or 2 cases, or the current, which is the norm, when they appeal the same case, they bring the bail to about 20 million, 30, 50.
Oh yeah, I mean the law allows them the varying of the bail conditions.
No, that is allowed. But the fact that consistently this is being done means that the purpose is to embarrass people, put you in a cell for about a month, and it's been consistent. And I think that Ghanaians must note it. But I don't want to dwell. I'm not a lawyer.
Absolutely.
But I'm talking as an elderly statesman. This one, whereby whether you are NDC or non-PP, for you to be treated that way is not acceptable. And again,
so you think that the human rights of people should be safeguarded?
Be respected.
Absolutely.
In these matters, again, on corruption, even though, thank God, they are too early, we haven't seen, or at least overt corrupt cases of NDC appointees. But how they started, by almost literally exonerating every NDC person who was having a corruption charge against them. What do the lawyers call it? Nolle prosequi. I mean, and then says that all of them, about 60 or whatsoever, can go scot-free. You undermine the confidence of the nation as to whether you are going to be serious about prosecuting corruption or just for the gallery, for the meantime, and finding a better means of stealing. Again, I think that what they have done what they are done and are doing to our fundamental governance institutions is a cause for concern. Yes, I'm not a lawyer, but I think that the removal of the Chief Justice has a lot of question marks on it.
I mean, Prof, that one is still in court, so
No.
we may not even go into, because the matter is pending for
No,
the
he
court.
has been removed.
Yeah,
So
but in terms of,
I'm
she
not
has a
talking
case in
about
the
the
Supreme
PU.
Court.
I said that they remove her, so
Yeah.
she has been removed. Again, the apparent pardon, and I've served on the Judicial Council for 6 years before. The amount of judges who have been appointed in a short space of time give a lot of concern. both
But
from-
actually, we need judges. There are a lot of courts which do not have judges.
no.
Actually, as we speak now, there are some courts when you go, a judge must move from another court to go and sit in that court.
Yes, but I don't think that within 1 year you should appoint about 7 judges, about 31 appeal court judges, and I don't know how many tens of high court judges. And I think that it gives the impression that of pardon the bench and really tilting it to favor cases which the government may bring to court. And I think that we have not seen that one. I haven't seen that one in any country whereby so many judges have been appointed in a short time. Now, of course, we are talking about, there is in the air about possible impeachment of the Electoral Commission. What I'm saying is this: if we are not careful, on the back of very good economic performance, they will be undermining basic governance institutions. And if you do so, you will be in the same, if we don't talk about it now, we will be in the same way as when this man, what you say, Hitler, came to power. And one of their philosophers and leaders says that, first they cleared the streets of prostitutes, of mad people, of then Jews, and then he said eventually they came for me, and there was no one to speak for me. So we must, I think that they are.
But Prof, I've known you to be very brutal, or to come out strongly brutally on that which is right. And as part of governance, accountability is a key aspect of it.
Very, very good.
So if the people who are at the helm of some governance institutions, there are questions on the accountability, shouldn't the government take that strong decision that I'm going to interrogate their stewardship, and it falls short of the standard, the necessary action must be taken?
I wish I don't have to, because I don't think that given even the pre-election pronouncement and other things, these people were therefore considered to be guilty before they were tried. But all that I'm saying is that as Ghanaians, we must take clue from President Reagan. He says trust but verify. I think that the government is doing well. I personally believe that we need continuity of policy. I wish them success, but we must also be very careful that in so doing, we do not overlook shortcomings of the administration, because eventually it's our main idea. Belongs to all of us.
Absolutely. Prof, let's go to the economic aspect. You had rightly mentioned that inflation has reduced, and we have also seen reduction also in interest rates and the foreign exchange and all that. What exactly are they doing right that is bringing these indicators down?
I wouldn't try to pontificate, because I don't have all the information. I mean, it's what you observe from outside. First of all, I mean, there has been a lot of, in economics, absorbing excess liquidity in the system, and therefore the circulation of money is coming down. Definitely, there has been this improvement in the exchange rate, which means that imported inflation is low. There's one area which they should thank God for and not be proud of, is that the rains have been very good. Food prices account for about 40% or so of inflation, and things have been extremely good this year, not because of the agricultural policy, but because God has been. Interestingly, God favors Ghana, but our politicians take the credit for it. It happened also in the first year of Danado.
Yeah.
It seems God
Yeah.
says that I'll give you a window of relief. And then, so I think that the Bank of Ghana is January and the Minister of Finance in terms of monetary policy and fiscal policy. They are doing very well. Basically not printing as much money, at least overtly as it is now. So I think these are generally what they are doing, and I agree with the IMF resident, what's the director, that they have actually exceeded in many areas expectation and the targets which were set even by the IMF. And I think that we should acknowledge that. And,
Right. Now let's look at agriculture. You pointed out the fact that even though they are doing well, it looks like there's no proper agricultural policy. And you had mentioned earlier also that a huge indicator for my economy is the agricultural space, the importation and all that. What policies are we not getting right in agricultural space?
First of all, I'm not an agriculturist, so therefore I'm talking as a general economist. So there's no doubt at all that we are still a peasant agricultural economy. And that is why when the rains comes and the rain do not come, I think that we must really set out, from my point of view, to go into large-scale agriculture, also concentrate on certain food items which, when we succeed there, we break the back of agriculture. For example, when it comes to the carbohydrates, Ghana has to and can be self-sufficient in maize, in soya, in rice. And I think that we should look at there and then focus. It means that there are other areas like, plantain, cocoyam, cassava, and other things. Yes, you live to the peasant. Go to the areas where we can do this on a large scale and then break the back there. I think that when it comes to the protein area, there's no doubt at all that our comparative advantage should be in the poultry sector. The reason is that poultry is largely also the grains fed. When you have soya, you have husk of rice, you have maize, you have also your protein indirectly. And I'll give you my CEO at Ghana Christian International High School just decided this year that he wants to be self-sufficient in protein. We are almost there. We have 2,000 beds producing about 1,000.
Self-sufficient for the school?
Yes. Producing about 1,500 eggs a day, far more than even the school can eat. So therefore, we have to find a neighboring school.
You produce 1,500 eggs a day?
Yes.
I see.
Because when you have 2,000 eggs, beds, and they normally, when they are properly fed, they give you about 80% daily. So in fact, in order to consume even the majority of it, the children must be given 1 egg a day every day, which of course they will soon rebel.
Of course.
And they have another 2,000 broilers. And those broilers, I'm amazed, 8 weeks they are ready for slaughter. So you can stagger them. So these are the areas I think that
So you think that if, Christian High, which is just a small community, can do it, Ghana can be self-sufficient?
No, an export. Ghana, and these are things we can break the back in a year. And I think also, now cocoa prices are quite high, but we have lost out on cocoa. Why? Because we have sat down for Galamsey to destroy much of the cocoa lands, because the peasant farmers, they come and give them a little money, which by their size, they haven't seen that before, only to lose their livelihood. And when we come to the downside, I think we have to interrogate carefully the Gold Board Galamsey linkage. Because when we look at the Gold Board, I think that so far they have been able to their work has positively impacted the reserves, which also helps with the exchange rate.
Yeah.
But we must also look at the cost. Basically, the government has legalized galamsey.
How do you say so?
Because they say that they buy it from the proper small-scale miners.
Yes, the licensed ones.
If you can distinguish between them and the galamsey people, you have had a solution. Don't kid us. It's coming from left, right, and center. But you know, I'm one of those who spoke strongly that there's the need for a state of emergency to deal with the galamsey.
Yeah.
I've thought about it and want to go further. It's not so much stopping it. If God has given us these resources, we must make use of it. And for now and posterity. However, I don't think that we can allow the poisoning of Ghanaians, all our major waters with mercury, and other countries have artisanal and small-scale mining, but they do not use the methods which we have allowed. And that must be stopped at once. And then the government can help them to do small-scale mining properly. But anyone having poison mercury and then having an excavator can just go. It is almost as if we are living in a jungle and there's no government.
So are you saying that government now should just take steps to regularize the galamsey?
In fact, more than regular, we must first stop it. Then direct those who want to go in it to do it in a certain way.
But actually, the licensed ones they are prohibited from using or from engaging in ways which will harm the environment because they require the EPA permits and all that. So their methods are inspected and all that.
My friend, where have the galamsey gold? What you are going to do is that they are there who assesses how much they mine. They just go to the galamsey people, get it and sell it and then share it. So the question is that at the end of the day, I wish you travel outside. You travel from Ayamfuri to Bogoso and you weep for Ghana. Go to Dunkwao area. Go to my own area in Adanse and see the Jimmy River, which is the one that supplies water to the whole of Obuasi. And you know that we are in a crisis situation. So I think that a lot more can be done, and we shouldn't be fooled by the fact that we are getting the gold. It's actually blood gold also, based with legitimate gold.
Yeah.
And it should be something that all of us should want to see it. How do we legitimately benefit from this natural resource without mortgaging our future?
I mean, that's interesting because, this galamsey issue is a real menace, and a lot of people have said that, it is that which, most of our woes now come from, which is a seeming problem.
And I cross the river, both the Brim River and the Pra River, to go to my village every month, at least once.
Okay.
And if you see it, you weep for Ghana. And the Pra River is the main source of water for the whole of the Takoradi, the third largest city, Sekandi Takoradi. And we are allowing it. So, yes, Go Board is making progress in terms of forex, in terms of exchange rate, but also the government has the major responsibility of making sure that we don't poison ourselves.
Yeah, the president has promised that he's working at it, but I'm guessing you're
not enough, at least not yet, not enough yet.
Yes, but then the call for the state of emergency. There are a lot of people who join in making that call, but I think that if you think of it from the president's side, also isn't he also going to affect his progress?
Listen, basically, I think his mantra is resetting the agenda.
Yeah.
we are not talking about stopping mining, but a time comes where we say that enough is enough. We are reset. And unless you stop it completely over a short period and reset the agenda, you are not going to make progress. And beside that, I mean, Joy FM put something up, which I didn't watch it myself. I have to probably, but reading about it, that now we have some forest areas whereby armed gangs, galamseyers, are the same as what is happening in the Congo, whereby it's a no-go area for even the security. We cannot, as a country, allow this to go beyond a certain point, because I think whatever it is now, we have sufficient force and military to deal with it. But if we allow a certain threshold, we are all in for it.
Interesting. If you're just tuning in, we are still on the Focus on Z101.9 FM, and we're having a conversation with Professor Emeritus Stephen Addae on the economy of Ghana and our governance system for 2025. You can send in your comments or any contribution or any question to our WhatsApp line 0544-321019, 0544-321019. Prof, now let's look at it from the governance side. Yes, you have mentioned that there's been some problems of some alleged petitions and removals and what have you. But on the positive side of governance, what will you say from 2025?
Well, I think I nearly called him John, but John, in a positive sense, His Excellency the President, John Mahama. First, himself, I'm known for my statement, leadership is cause, everything else is effect. I think that he did, at best, a mediocre job in his first term. And Ghanaians showed him the red card.
Maybe he wasn't prepared for it. I mean, he just woke up one day.
But I think that he has learned his lessons. And the first thing I would say that he's improved in his leadership. And I think that Ghanaians are better for that. So kudos for that. Secondly, I think that they have a much more coherent policy singing from the same hymn book. Let me bring out a naughty one so that my friends, my contemporaries out there, when they meet me tomorrow, they will kill me. I mean, there were a lot of people, I call them the naughty guys behind Roaring's days, those young guys, revolutionaries, other things. Where they are behind still, and they have matured relatively. The Ahoys, the Kwame Pepra, Atudazi, Tutubi Kwachis, they are not in the limelight, but they are still there. They have somehow become the elders of the NDC party. And I think that it gives me a little bit of comfort that these people are there and they are still within the NDC party and giving, hopefully, good advice from behind. Let me say that we used to say here that, NPP have the men. I think that probably now NDC have more of the men than MPP. Not so much of individuals and MPP people not having individual capable people, but they are not singing from the same hymn. And therefore, many individual sparrows don't make a head. So I think that I'm a bit more comfortable with the leadership and the guiding coalition, in other words, the next rank of people. Of course,
but isn't it just too early?
We'll come back. I think that we are jumping to the end. Let's finish the current one. What about the future?
Absolutely.
Then also, I think that they have a little bit of advantage because they have such a massive, majority in parliament. And my friend Babin seems to be doing well in moderating things.
Yeah.
But there's a danger there in the governance whereby practically they can do whatever they want to do. And that poses a danger, but I hope His Excellency the President will be held personally responsible because every law, he has to sign it. And therefore, the fact that you have a mighty majority should not be used against Ghana because one day the tide may turn. And so I hope that they will use that one responsibly. Issues of institutions, when it comes to the governance, when Obama was asked, how was the way forward, he said institution. Irrespective of what they are thinking about the opposition, the members, and other things, please, we cannot afford not to sustain and build our governance institutions. And here I'm talking about first the security agencies. Already by appointing a lower officer to be the chief of defense staff, you have to then remove 17 or so people above. It's a very dangerous precedent. Ghanaians have been quiet, and I'm hoping that no government in future will repeat it.
But wasn't it because some of those promotions also were unmerited? And so
I am not I'm not competent enough, but I would not want to believe that all the 17 people were unmerited. These were in the army, because you had to remove not only the top, but people who were in the middles, who were above, because I understand that in the military, lower people should not be saluted.
Absolutely.
So the heads, yes, but if you remove 17 of them, it's quite a lot, and I hope it will not be repeated. But what I'm saying is this. I've mentioned this, the judiciary there. So we must try not to destroy our institutions, which is done, unfortunately, by governments of our types, the communist countries and other things, to secure yourself. But someone, let me say that when I was going to do my master's in Britain, we were going to do my village. I didn't have a passport, walking about the sun, and I was so haggard. One day, me and my best man, we got to the central police station, the regional police station of Accra, and we saw a taxi, and behind it is written, "No condition is permanent." So condition was spelled wrong, permanent was spelled wrong, but that day, it was almost an encouragement that no condition is permanent. So if you are in governance, you must do things, of course, to your favor, but not destroy institutions, because eventually it comes out to haunt you. So I think that that's the area they must watch it. But overall, I think that these should not detract from the fact that NDC's performance in the first year has been sterling, and we must encourage it. And for the sake of Ghana, we want to see this continue for 20 years. Not the same that Mahama should be there for 20 years, but policy continuation and sustainability, regime after regime.
Right. And when you bring in the policy continuation, now we are moving into how we can still get things better. There's been a huge call for national policies or national plans, so that we don't have to rely on a party comes in with a manifesto. So by hook or crook, they must execute that manifesto. But any manifesto policy must be in line with a national plan. What do you say to that, Prof?
The answer is absolutely yes. And I think the Professor Fiajo Commission under Atta Mills, for me, about the constitutional reform
Yeah.
was the best. I mean, we have had one done recently. I think that it does not compare with the bipartisan one which was done. And one of the strongest recommendations was an independent National Development Planning Commission, NDPC, which will do a bipartisan development framework. There are, let me put on a little bit of my development economist hat. There are 3 types of plans if you want a country. And there's what we call a perspective plan. And those ones, it may not be a big book or other things. It is, but that gives you where the country wants to be 10 years. No, sorry, not 10 years, 50 years, 100 years. You see, Trump has done something in Venezuela. And there's one thing which he says, we are claiming our oil investment. We are talking about 50 years ago.
Yeah.
They have a long memory and strategy of what to do. So we need a perspective plan.
Yeah.
When I was, for a short time, the chairman of a National Development Planning Commission. My predecessor had started a 40-year plan to Ghana at 100. We summarized it into Ghana, 40-year plan, and we summarized it and tweeted it, Ghana at 100. We need that framework. The second one is usually what people call the development plan, 5 years, rolling plans. That will then implement the perspective plan. And then the government of the day will have annual plan. That's what the budget is all about.
Yeah.
And you need that one so that they are in sync with one another. However, my experience as chairman of the National Development Planning Commission is that the government had no interest in long term. They are just talking about how to win the next next election, and therefore, systematically, they have undermined the drawing up of a perspective plan in which their 4-year or 5-year plan will then fit into, and then they will roll it up. Then Ghanaians have something to measure what is going to. Now, what it is now is that give and take in 3 years or 4 years, 3 years, because Mahama has already spent 1 year. The manifesto, how many did they fulfill?
Yeah.
The question is that, who did the manifesto? Is that a political propaganda largely?
Absolutely.
And therefore, so it's so important that Ghana take one sector, education, human resources. What is our agenda for human resources? What is the purpose of taking people to school? Why is it that if you get straight ones in history, you are the same as straight ones in physics in getting to Legon? How many do we want to? Now I understand you are a lawyer. As a lawyer, we are now producing more lawyers than doctors, engineers combined. I mean, because we don't have a national human resources development framework. It doesn't mean that lawyers are not important. The reason is this. If the government doesn't put a PESWA in training lawyers, we will have sufficient lawyers. True or false?
True.
So we are not saying that, therefore, government resources then will be directed at the areas of shortage so that it becomes an incentive. I believe that if the government doesn't put a penny, not just the lawyers only, in training economists, my field, we will still have sufficient economists.
Absolutely.
So it is but unless you have a perspective plan and a long-term strategy, and which the one builds on the other, so that we don't depend upon one free education in these years. But it's not a free education as a political party slogan or agenda, but because every Ghanaian child must be educated. And this is the pathway to make sure that they are educated. And this, so I agree with you absolutely.
But what would be the cost to government to implement these plans or to have these plans? Because it's been done across the world, even in Dubai.
Yes.
They have a 100-year plan that you can go to museum, they can show you how Dubai is going to look like in the next 100 years. And what is the cost to us that's preventing us from doing that?
No, it is just our short-term view. Take one like Kumasi, Accra Kumasi Road.
Yeah.
The amount of money and the chopment that have gone on there, we have built Accra to Kumasi 3 times.
Yeah.
You won't believe it, but when I was coming to Legon in 1968, I took the state transport from Kumasi, and I was saying, hey, Shiramasini, where would I stop to go to Legon? Where is the Legon? So, because I'd passed through only once in Accra to go to Akosomo for an excursion. Then when we were coming towards Kofo, getting to Bunso, they said that we cannot pass through in Sawam because they are constructing the road. So they passed us through Kofodia, through Aburi. And lo and behold, before I could say Jack, they said, those who are stopping in Legon, get ready. I said, thank God, how much you love me. So I was put in front of the University of Ghana, Legon. What I'm saying is this. Do you know how many years ago, 1964, that was 57 years, whatever it is?
Yeah.
1968 to now.
68 years, that's about.
Yes. So, the point I'm making, they have been making Kumasi Accra Road ever. It's when you have a plan and you say that in this year we are making from here to Sawam permanent to last 30 years. The next year it is from Nsawam to Suhum. The next year it is from Suhum to Apegwa. In 10 years you have a 6-lane permanent road. So it's not a matter of the cost. Rather, you will do things and to be cheaper and more permanent. So you cannot stand and say that, you know, where's the money? The money is there. Some people have been asking, where is Mahama getting the money to do what he's doing? He hasn't gone to borrow. He's close to the international market is closed. Where is the money? It's there here.
Yeah.
As Akufo-Addo said, it is so. And so walk on here.
Yeah. But then, Prof, I mean, because this, I see there's also a passionate aspect for you. What can we do on this particular issue of having a national plan? Yes, I mean, you've identified that government may be very myopic, but what can we pitch to government or to any? I haven't seen the constitutional review report on whether they also proposed a bipartisan NEP.
I don't think so.
Okay, I haven't seen that part.
Yeah.
But what can we do?
First of all, politicians are very, very funny. They only yield to pressure or something which, if they don't do, it will cost them political fortune. And I think that.
But I guess there's a message they can sell to their populace.
That I'm coming.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of social media and hype about everything else, but there has not been a consistent, intellectually motivated pressure on critical things, governance, development agenda. And I think that that is what is lacking in Ghana. When I was a rector of GIMPA, I tried to form a group which I called the Ghana First Group. And I invited people like Archbishop Palmer Buckler, Mr. Yamson, the late Dr. J.L.S. Abe, and I said that, look, outside government, we need some brains that will think non-partisan and promote things that are of vital importance to Ghana's long-term development. Unfortunately, along the way, I gave up. Why? Because in the mold, were a few NDC supporters, and while they were there, they were tooting the agenda. So I said, look, it is better not to start something which will not. But I think that there's a need for such, what do you call it, public opinion being shaped, which would then force the... and also, I think that academia, my own people, have not done Ghana good. They tend to be partisan and looking for a little salary increase here, other things.
It's the money.
And, but the intellectual leadership is not forthcoming. And that's where it must come from. And then you will see that the politicians will start responding, because as soon as their voice is strong in the public dominion, then you find out that the politicians. So there's a need for us to keep on your own radio and others, not to be too much partisan and hammer on these issues, especially the need. Let me say, I want to give credit to Moy Thompson, Dr. Moy Thompson down there, the chairman. He's very passionate about this, about long-term perspective, and I hope the NDC will take it on, and then their work will be promoted. I think that everyone must support a good, effective, and capable NDPC, which will bring out also doable agenda for the country.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess if a campaign like that is started, I know, Prof, you're going to assist also in that campaign. I mean, I know now you are in retirement mode, but...
Who told you I'm retirement? I'm not retarded.
You're right. Now, Prof, I mean, beyond the development plan, as we have seen, which we agree that is something very necessary for us as a people. Other than that, we'll just be having... because, in fact, when each government comes to power, after about 2 years, they start thinking about elections.
Yes.
And so everything just falls into...
And even their manifesto is not interrogated.
Absolutely.
What is the manifesto anchored to? It becomes a populist...
I know in some countries, the manifesto must follow a particular plan. Exactly. You don't just get up and say, I look at the fact that there's unemployment, so I just come and see unemployment. But it must follow an order.
And they will not even talk about how they are... For example, let me tell you, since you have mentioned unemployment, the government of Ghana does not employ Ghanaians. Altogether, the government direct employees are about 1 million or less. Ghanaians employ themselves. Therefore, what is needed is the type of economic policies that will generate businesses and allow the one person's business to take on 3 people and the rest. So then they talk about the government to say that, oh, we are going to have 1 million employees. You know how many Ghanaians we have? 34.
Yeah.
And before you generate 1 million, another million people have joined the labor force. So, even the discussion is not properly anchored.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much, Prof. And if you're just tuning in, you're still live on the Focus Z101.9 FM. We are being streamed live also on YouTube. You can join us on YouTube on Z Multimedia. And you can share your comments with us on 0544321019. We'll take a very short breather here. And when we come back, we are going to be looking at how to position Ghana or the structures of Ghana so that in the years coming, the next year, next 2 years, next 3 years, we are not going to have a retrogression, but we're going to maintain and improve on the economic standards which have been set by 2025. So do not go away. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to Z 101.9 FM. Your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
In the heart of Accra, nestled in the vibrant neighborhood of East Legon and New Beacon, a 360 multimedia firm has emerged. Introducing Z Multimedia. With a steadfast focus on lifestyle, leisure, and business, we set out to bring high-value oriented programs that captivate the taste and desires of our audience. From the captivating airwaves of Z 101.9 FM to the dynamic visuals of Z TV and the innovative realms of Z Digital and the incubation of advanced technological knowledge at Z-Tech, every facet of modern media is meticulously curated to engage and inspire. Also, let's not forget the new Finder newspaper, now under the Z Multimedia umbrella, delivering insightful journalism with a business focus. Join us on the journey where innovation meets inspiration, where lifestyle meets leisure, and where business thrives. Change is here. Z Multimedia, your lifestyle, leisure, and business platform.
You're tuned in to Z 101.9 FM. Your lifestyle,
Hello, this
leisure,
is
and
Z
business
Decola.
radio.
For the month of December and January, we have something that we call Furnish Your Craft. We're inviting everybody in the interior furnishing space. Now, there are a lot of things or a lot of people that are in the furnishing space. They are giving us various things that help us put our spaces together. We're talking about people who are weaving rugs, there are people who are painting, people who produce artwork, there are people who are using clay pots to produce plates, dinnerware, all sorts. We need to bring all of these people together because after all, we are creative as Ghanaians. But yes, even you that sews curtains, come to us. We're going to give you access for a small fee, access to all our platforms of TikTok, of YouTube, of Facebook, of Instagram, and yes, our newspaper. There's a newspaper, the New Finder newspaper. You're going to have access to all those platforms for a small fee. What we want you to do is to come, bring us your PR packages, bring us your artwork. The good thing about this promo is not like there are other places. Over here, we understand what it is that you are producing. We'll be able to talk about your product for you. If you want to come in studio, no problem. But we are able to do that on your behalf as your chief marketing officers. You just bring your products, bring your PR packages, and come to us at Z101.9 FM, and you will not regret.
For more information, contact 054 3763460 or 03080411019.
Many thanks for staying with us. Still the focus on Z101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business platform. And we've been having a conversation with Professor Stephen, or let me add Emeritus Stephen Adey, on the governance structure of Ghana, our governance advantage we've had so far in 2025, and our economic situation. Prof, let me ask you a very direct question. Based on the governance discussions and situation we have in Ghana, will you support a benevolent dictator?
Well, some of you use some words and you don't know its all its size. Benevolent. Then you then have the word, you add dictator. They are almost contradictory. But I think that there's a confusion out there, and here, as a leadership aspect, in terms of not leading better, but a professor of leadership, that's what I mean. So I'm not putting myself above the leaders in that regard. They look at, Singapore, this man was powerful, but he went through election every 5 years or so. He wasn't a dictator. Again, Park, of course, for some time he was a military man, but soon they transited in Mahathir. But what about, say, India has done in democracy? What people are looking for, which they use the word benevolent dictator, is a good, capable, transformational leader who is committed to his country's advancement. That is what you are looking for, not just a dictator. So it is quality leadership they are talking about. And instead of, they think that, they look at other countries where they thought that, there's not too much freedom, social freedom, and therefore that's what caused their development. And I think that, yes, we need a certain type of leader, which appeared in almost various systems. For example, Communist China got Zheng Yangping. It's very difficult, Z-I-A-M-P-N-G, what they call him. And he said, do you know where he went? He went to Singapore. And he saw their development. He says, why can't my country
do same?
You see. So he committed himself at a very high risk, because basically injecting capitalist production system into a communist social system framework was not an easy one. But his commitment, and everybody knew he was selfless, he wanted the best for the country. And now, China is a world power. Now comes Singapore. He was described, Lee Kuan Yew, somebody who knew a lot of leaders, Kissinger, called him one of the 3 wisest and capable people in the whole world at his time. And I respect Kissinger's view when he says the foreign minister for America meeting with him. So he was capable, he was educated, but he was committed. And you know that sometimes he wept publicly, especially when he was ejected from the Singapore-Malaysian alliance. So his passion was that my country must develop. And so we are looking for that capable, committed, selfless, transformational leader. And when you get them, it's amazing how, irrespective even of the system around them, it makes a difference. In Africa, our dictators have often been dictators rather than benevolent. And in the African scene, probably the one that comes closest to it is Paul Kagame.
Of Rwanda.
But I've been to Rwanda a few times. When you go there, you see a person who is committed to the improvement of the welfare of his people above everything else. Not having things in Dubai and then, big vehicle, The other day I was there and then I was walking. He said, "Oh, you are." I was walking in front of his residence, and there, of course, there will be a discreet security, but by the street,
Just a normal place.
yes. You want to go to Jubilee House, even in Ghana, it's a matter of if they have blocked the road from here to here. You can't pass there. And that is, we are creating demagogues. So I believe that what you are saying, and I agree with you, is that improved leadership, and we'll come to how they emerge, improved leadership. And here, since we are talking about the NDC government now, isn't there a lot of difference between Mahama's first term and Mahama's second term? On 16th, I remember when I made that statement, 16th October 1986, I was going to Cape Coast University to give a lecture, and some radio station, I think City, one of them called me. And I said that, no, I don't think that Mahama is going to get a second term. Because
You mean 2016?
2016,
Yeah.
that he's not going to get a second term. Why? The election was in 2016. No,
2016
2016.
December.
Yeah. And he's not going to get a second term because he has displayed poor leadership. So, but we must give him the benefit of the doubt. He's showing improved leadership in his first year.
He's
Is
learned his lessons.
Is it sustainable? I can only pray for the good of Ghana for it to continue. So it is, we want quality leadership, transformational, selfless, someone who is committed to Ghana. I mean, I don't know why our people cannot see that, we say it in Twi, Nkwaye da, Tano Sebino. If Ghana gets well and developed, for goodness sake, the president is the #1 beneficiary. Even when they retire, the package, they virtually retire on their presidential salary, everything else. But a legacy building leader who has character, who has the competence and care for the people, that is the type of leader, and not so much a benevolent dictator, but a capable.
Yeah, indeed. Now let me just ask, Prof, how can we create one, or how do they emerge as you anticipated? Because it looks like then, Africa, it eludes us. If we can only confidently mention in our current dispensation just one person, it means that there's a problem. How can we have them? Of all 55 African states, we can just mention one who's transformational. That's a huge problem.
Well, I wouldn't say one, because
I'm the one we can vouch.
Yeah. Let me tell you why I want to say that. For example, and it's a prelude to my answering your question. Botswana has done very well.
Yeah.
They have changed leaders, but they have a system, and that has. I think Mauritius has done very well.
Okay.
And I tell you, if you go to Mauritius, I don't know why people don't go to Mauritius more than Dubai, because you have more affinity than in Mauritius than in Dubai. So therefore, we have a situation. Probably those small countries, their models are. Those two smaller countries are doing with a very transparent democracy, especially Mauritius, without. So now, how are we going to? Yes, but I must agree with you perfectly that the odds are against us.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to correct the fact that we have more than one case to talk about. But interestingly, all our small countries, Rwanda, Botswana, Mauritius.
Yeah.
I believe that, and that's why I get very, very worried about systems when they are being destroyed, institutions which are being destroyed, because the institutions have two advantages. I mean, good, transparent, independent Electoral Commission, judiciary, other things, do two things. First of all, they restrain excesses, so that even when you get, I won't mention the name, I was going to mention two foreign leaders who are a bit not cuckoo, a bit up there, they are restrained. They can't do undue damage.
Absolutely, please don't mention.
Yes.
I know where it's going.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to. The second is that then they also allow the possibility of emergence of a better leader. For example, one of the things that is constraining us is how our electoral process has been so monetized and corrupt that there are many Ghanaians who are capable of leading Ghana well. And again, I won't mention the names. And yet, because of how our getting to power has been so corrupted, they are actually excluded. So, therefore, that brings me to the fact that how will we be able to get emergence from, probably at this stage, I would say the two leading parties, such a leader? Because sometimes people say there must be a coup, the coup and the dictators have always let us down, and therefore we shouldn't go there.
Yeah.
I think that we should work, and I'm coming to the work is a big word, to how, so that these two parties are restructured, and that is possible to do so that they can produce quality leaders and not the one who has money or whom a clique of party, national executive or other things want to become the next candidate. Without, I'm not talking about anybody.
Right.
Now, one step was made, I think, by the NDC, even though they needed to hang on to Mahama to come back, is that broadening the base of those who vote to such an extent that a stronger, capable, intelligent, transformational person can win without necessarily having to have such a big, huge amount of money in order to come up. So that is one of them. Again, who are our heroes? And I think that the media, the intelligentsia, and other things should be putting up a discussion as to who really qualifies to be a leader. Let me just be zeroing. In 2 weeks, NPP is going to select their. I haven't seen any paper or radio station says that Bawumia or Hene Japan, Kwabena Japan, maybe the Japans may win by virtue of their number. And then who are the other candidates?
Brian Champon. And Dr. Aduchum.
Yes, Aduchum. There has been no analysis. I must confess that I'm guilty of it because I promised to do that one, but sadly I lost my wife, and I've been, now that I'm getting my voice back, but it is too late for them. I will do it for the NDC one. You know, the candidates, at this moment, there's no independent analysis of them. So these are the things when we do, it will influence, say, 10 points, their vision, their personal character, their ability to mobilize people, and other things. And this is the score. Let us start doing something, even if initially it is not perfect, so that Ghanaians, at this moment, we are just hoping that somehow somebody will come and then
transform our country.
Then NDC, there's going to be the end of Mahama's term in less than 3 years. This is the time we should be talking in academia serious media.
If I was going to bring in, so far, the academic voice appears lost because
it pains me.
Because I know even the military era where I mean most of them were at the risk of imprisonment, the academic voice was heard. But today we don't hear academic voice anymore.
I remember this is something, one day when I was in, there was an issue which I wouldn't like to bring it up here to distract us, and I was giving public opinion about it, and then they were after me, and then I went to Legon, and one of my respected academic colleagues said, "Stephen, why don't you keep quiet so that they will leave you alone?" And I said, but for goodness sake, the political science people should be talking about it, not trying to get the favor of the next government or so that the Jampo Seratins, are then appointed political positions. In fact, there are certain things even they should not accept. Why? Because they want to keep their integrity and their voice.
So the academia should be the conscience.
Conscience of the nation.
It should be the conscience, and very impartial.
And analytical.
Yeah.
Analytical. And one of the advantages we have in a proper academy is the fact that you can put your views there and others can tear it apart and then and eventually you come to a better consensus.
Absolutely. And that's the whole point of even the research and the paper writing.
And the next one, again, the politicians have coerced the professional associations. They played a very important role in the past. The professional associations are not doing Ghana a favor. So that when we talk about health, you don't hear about the medical association. When we talk about law, for example,
the Ghana Bar.
Ghana Bar, and for example, if I hear, I'm not a lawyer, so but what as to the government agents trying to destroy the union, they don't want one bar association, the examination, and that things. So many things are being mooted about the whole legal system in Ghana. And I don't hear a systematic voice. So the professional associations, if we want to proper leaders, we must come, their voices be heard and be and contribute. Our chiefs, the custodians, they must talk about. I mean, say for if the House of Chiefs, National House of Chiefs, come to say that, look, we have had enough. We want a president who meets A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
But all that they are doing is, just singing the praises of the president when they come to visit, or the position when they come to having a deba and the rest. No. So I think,
and in fact, for the chief, we are clear that they control a very significant sector of our populace. Because I mean, just in Accra, we don't see chieftains that big. But I know when we go to the other areas, the chiefs, I mean, they are also like the voice of the people.
Exactly. But even though they are, in terms of when it comes to influencing votes, because they have not engaged the people, and also some of them have not behaved well. They are involved in galamsey, they are doing all sorts of things that lose their respect, but unfortunately not the majority of them. So the point I'm saying is that leaders in emerging can also be shepherded by the way certain quarters of influence, academia, traditional leaders, the professional associations, can help shape the conscience and the directions of the ordinary Ghanaian. Yeah. And I think that we have a lot to do in order for us to see the emergence of a leader who hopefully will be transformational and long-term. And if we have a long-term perspective plan, at least it also gives them the parameters to work in.
To operate in. Absolutely. I mean, I've enjoyed the conversation so much that I've lost track of time. Especially on, I think we may have to have a deeper conversation on the leadership and governance aspect, because I think our problem in this part of our world is largely a leadership problem.
It's a leadership problem.
Largely.
Leadership is cause, everything else is effect.
Exactly. We have all the resources, we have, I mean, in terms of human power, we have the youngest population, we have a population size, we have the resource, but we just can't seem to connect it so that we can be able to develop. I think that we'll have to have a...
Let me, yes, you don't know when the next day, when you are talking to a 77-year-old, his days are numbered. But let me say this, direct to His Excellency the President.
I was even going to ask that, if you had to speak to the President or Minister of Finance, what are you going to say?
The President first.
Yeah.
I think that His Excellency the President has the opportunity, unique opportunity, to reset the agenda of a leadership model that Ghana needs and can take Ghana far. I don't think that he has to be corrupt. He has enough. And even if he doesn't have enough, Ghanaian, by our constitution, will take care of his old age. We need a leader of integrity, character, who is competent and care for only one thing, the welfare of the Ghanaian. And if he does, in the next 3 years, he can make such a tremendous change and set a model that Ghanaians will not accept anything less. I think that's for the Minister of Finance, the governor. I think that so far, so good. They are talking, especially the governor, she should talk less. Governors should be very, very discreet. Every day I see something about him in the social media. Look, he's not in a popularity contest. The Minister of Finance, you are not in a popularity contest. When they do their job well, posterity will remember them. So far they are doing well. I wish them well. I believe that we have an opportunity to reset the agenda. And it is possible.
Indeed, it is possible. And I'm happy at the fact that you leave the president and the minister on the note that if they do their work well, posterity is going to remember them. Thank you very much, Professor Emeritus Stephen Adair, for the conversation today. Has been such an enlightening and enriching one. As I'm saying, we would have to arrange for another one. Then we'll go deeper into our governance and our leadership system, because...
Should I add if the price is right?
Posterity, Professor, is going to pay
posterity
you.
will be on my side.
Absolutely, because we have to be intentional about leadership. We have to be intentional.
It is where
even the teaching of it. And you notice that in our curriculum, maybe, okay, I don't know of the modern curriculum, but at least the system we went through, maybe from about primary school to you even complete university, you may have no leadership class. Yes. You may have no, so all you just know of leadership has been who is smart. And in fact, previously, the person who is school prefect is the person who is first in class. Whether the person has the leadership trait or not usually wasn't the concern. So I think that we'll have to just devote some time and have that conversation. And
Let me say also that as a professor of leadership, yes, it's not so much teaching of leadership. Many things go, ethical behavior, integrity, nationalism, and other things. You know, not
which
just...
all of these must be inculcated into the people.
Must be part and parcel. And then those who have the ability to influence others for a positive cause, which are the leaders, will emerge. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you also, Professor Stephen Adair. We are very grateful for your time this morning. I mean, if you were to send us a bill, we know we can pay. But again, as I say, posterity is going to reward you.
See, you're throwing back my words to me.
All right, and many thanks to all our viewers and listeners who have spent their Saturday morning with us, listening to us on the conversation on the economy and the governance, looking at 2025, a review of 2025 from these two spectacles. We're very grateful for your time and for being with us this morning. And again, Prof, I'll say a very big thank you also for spending. It's not easy having a 77-year-old man, as you say, spending his morning with us here. But we're very grateful. And
I wake up at 4 a.m. every day, so therefore it's okay. This national service.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you all very much. And do continue to stay with us on Z101.9 FM. Up next, we have the sports rally with Emmanuel Donko. So do stay with us, and then I pray we all have a very good week, and always remember that it is Ghana first. God bless us all.